Hey everyone, I'm MG8mer. Today we're going to be reviewing Unit 4 of AP CSA. And basically Unit 4 is just iteration, loops, and whatnot. So just iteration is basically looping, while loops, for loops, that kind of thing. That's basically all it is. This unit's really short, but no worries because, yeah, this unit's really short, but it's quite important. You'll see why in a minute. So, about 5 Hive, I think everyone knows what that is. I won't really go too much over this. Like 5 Hive is pretty self-explanatory. You can visit the website, resources and stuff like that. You know, yeah, you can see the slides when I post them later. Now, this is very important. Lecture feedback survey. If you're planning to leave early, or if you're planning to stay regardless, if you're planning to leave early, please fill this out before you leave. I'm going to send this out periodically, so I can remind you guys to fill it out. It helps me and other lecturers just know what to improve for the next lectures we give and stuff like that. And yeah, that's it. So I'll send this out periodically. Feedback's greatly appreciated. Disclaimer, of course I have to put this in always. AP is a trademark registered by College Board, not affiliated with, and does not endorse this resource made by 5 Hive. So it does not endorse it, and this is just completely made by me, a volunteer. So that's pretty much it. So just quick expectations. Please be respectful in the chat. Don't be mean to each other. Don't use rude language. Be polite. Help each other out. Be patient. Don't use vulgar language. Try your best to stay engaged. So like when I post the poll or when I ask a question, everyone try your best to answer. Be proactive. Ask questions if you need to. And I'll try my best to answer them. You guys can help out as well. And it's great if you stay, but no problem if you leave because this thing will be recorded, hopefully. And I hope it doesn't, like last time, get completely bricked. So, yeah. So here's our quick agenda. Just a quick rundown. Why Unit 4 is important. Just look at the weighting. The most weighted units, arguably, out of all of them. I'm really bad at the class. It's all about practice. That's all it is. Just gotta practice problems. More set calc. I haven't taken calc. But yeah. Anyway, Unit 4 is really important. It's very helpful to know, of course, for the first FRQ, control structures and stuff like that, which are conditionals and loop statements. So we're gonna go first through while loops, then for loops. And that's basically will be the content. Then the rest will be mainly practice. So developing algorithm using strings. So like iterating through like a string, reversing it and whatnot. Nested iteration, which is just a loop statement within a loop statement. Informal code analysis. This is a very short topic. It's just, seeing how many times a loop executes or how many times a nested loop executes and whatnot, depending on input. And then afterwards, after we go through the content and practice and whatnot, we're going to do a Kahoots. I think, yeah. I forgot how many questions it is, but it's pretty good. And then we'll do a Q&A for like 15 minutes, and that's it. I hope it doesn't crash again. Me neither, man. I really hope that doesn't happen. That'd be really unfortunate. And again, I'm very sorry about that. That's completely my fault for not, yeah. Why did Past Me want to take 5 APs? I really don't know. You don't need to take them. Why am I, okay, hold on. Okay. So, alright, let's move on. So, first we're gonna go through while loops. So just a quick question. What's the basic syntax for a basic while loop? So, before you put your answer, please use spoilers. If that's too difficult, there's another way we can do this. But yeah, try your best to use spoilers so that you don't ruin the answer for people. Yeah. Okay. Alright. One person answered. I'm not gonna wait for everyone to answer because that takes too long, but preferably as many people as possible try to answer. Yeah. Please let me know if using spoilers is really difficult. Rohan, spoiler. If using spoilers is too difficult, there's a backup plan I have for how we can answer. But spoilers is the more optimal method. Wow, Pilot, very creative while loop there. While true delete system 32. Okay, yeah. I think everyone's on the same page. This is it. It's just while condition do this. And so long as this thing evaluates the true, this statement will continue executing and executing and executing and executing until this evaluates the false, in which the loop will terminate. That's it. That's all it is, very simple. So yeah, an iteration statement in general, it's just repeat a set of statements 0, because if you go into the while loop and the condition immediately evaluates the false, it won't actually execute the loop. But if it does evaluate the true, it'll repeat like more times until some condition is met, which just means that once the Boolean condition of the loop evaluates the false, it'll no longer execute. So prior to going to a while loop, we check some condition, like I said. If it is true, we enter the loop, but if it is false, we don't enter the loop. Very simple. After each iteration, we check the condition each time. So after we execute all the code segments or the statements in the loop, we check the condition again and again. So long as it is true, it'll keep looping and repeating. And the iteration will terminate once it evaluates the false. Now, is there a way to manually terminate any loop? So instead of the condition evaluating to false, how can you manually terminate it? So yeah, there's mainly 2 ways to do this. One of them I don't think is in the CED. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think everyone knows that how you do it. Yeah, that is definitely one way. But there is another way. Okay. So I think everyone knows what one way is. But like, there's another way that involves methods. It involves a method. So like, if a loop is in a method, how can you make that loop automatically terminate? Is there a way to do that other than using break? Return something. Yeah. Okay. Probably should have not said that out loud. It's fine. But yeah, there are 2 ways. The break keyword exits the loop once executed. To my knowledge, I did not see this in the CED. Unless I'm mistaken, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think this is in the CED. I don't think it's there. Yeah. What is CED? Course and exam description. Basically, the foundational document for the course. It's very important. It's very good brief review source. But yeah, you can send a link in there. You can just look up APCSA CED and you'll find the course exam description. It should be like 200 pages long. Anyway. So the other way is a return statement. So when a while loop, or any loop for that matter, is executing in some method or some constructor, whatever you want to name it, if a return statement executes, by definition, that method will exit, and so the while loop or whatever loop you're doing will automatically terminate because, well, the method terminates, the constructor, or the method terminates. So just self-explanatory. So if one thing cancels, it just does. I saw that, but I didn't want to read all of it. You don't need to. There's no need to read all of it. You just you can skim through it. I mainly used to look at exam information, but yeah. Does all of this make sense to everyone before we go on to the practice? Make sense? Yes? Yes? Awesome. Great. All right. Do we need to know break? It's good to know, but I don't think you do. No, it's not on the CED. If something's not on the CED, you don't need to know it. But it's good to know. You know, when you're writing your own Java programs, if you ever write in Java, you're probably going to use break. I don't think I've ever used break for any question. Yeah, when you do questions, you're never going to really use break. You don't need to. Quick water break. Okay. So now, we're going to do some practice. What is the output of this program? And now, this is way more simpler than conditionals. This is more intuitive, I think. Unless it isn't for some of you guys. But yeah, make sure to put it in spoilers. Break stays usually for switch statements. I see. Yeah. So everyone just go ahead and answer this, and then we'll go over it together. Okay, so there's some mixed answers. I think this question may have thrown off a couple people. Do spoilers these characters. And for the people watching the OBS recording, I'm not showing that because you don't need to know how to CE, how to do a spoiler on Discord. You're here only for the review. So anyway. Okay. Whoops. Okay. So there's some mixed answers. But yeah, this is actually an infinite loop. It doesn't terminate. Why is that? You see this counter statement. It's not in the loop if you notice. Since we initialize counter to 0, while counter is less than 10, print. While counter is less than 10, print. And it just repeats and repeats and repeats. We never increment counter because the increment statement is outside the while loop, not inside. If it was inside, it would print 10 times. But since it's not inside the statement, it'll print forever. Yeah, that's it. Does that make sense? I can do a demo of this in code Does this not make sense? I can do a demo if you guys need. It was in the loop, it would print 9 times, not 10. No, it print 10 because counter is 0. So you start at 0, that's 1 time, increments to 1, it go to 10. Once it goes to 9, that's 10 times. Does this make sense to everyone, or do you guys want me to do a demo of this and just show you that it's an infinite loop? Okay. Counter's outside, counter doesn't ever change. Exactly. Like I said. Depends if it's after or before. If we put this in there, that's it. So I think we've touched on how to fix the earlier loop. So just make sure to avoid this by properly incrementing your counter variable. If you don't do that, you'll end up with a infinite loop that is not ideal ever. So preferably don't end up with that. So we touched on how to fix it. Just move the counter variable into inside. Exact. That's it. That's it. So now going to for loops. We're done with while loops, and we're going to for loops. What's the basic syntax for it? It's a little bit more complicated, a little bit, not too much. There's a little bit more to a for loop than a while loop. While loop's a little simpler. Rohan, you, for a spoiler, you do those, but on both sides of the your text. Thanks. I see a few people leaving early, so I'm gonna send this just one more time. If you're gonna leave early at some point, fill this out, please. Thank you. Great. Everyone gets it. Awesome. How much did I miss? Not much. You missed 4.1. We've just entered for loops. Yeah, please put spoilers. Yeah, it's not bad. You can catch the recording, which hopefully shouldn't corrupt. Checking my PC temp right now. It's not bad. I don't think... Okay, it's 90 degrees. Why is it that much? That is really bad. I don't know why my PC gets this hot. But I think everyone gets it. So, it's this, basically. So, the red is the initialization statement. You initialize your counter variable in here. So, you know how for a while loop you initialize it outside? Well, in the for loop, you do it inside the loop condition. Put it in cold water. Bad idea. Anyway. So, you put the counter variable, you initialize it in the for statement itself, and it executes only once before the first Boolean expression. So, after you do your first iteration, this won't execute again. You initialize it, and you're done. Can you review the for each loop, please? What do you mean? We're reviewing for loop right now. I don't know if they're about for each. Enhanced for loop, that's in Unit 6. We're not covering that right now, I'm sorry. That's in Unit 6, which is on Saturday. It's beyond the scope of Unit 4. Enhanced for loops are disgusting. Enhanced for loops is for each, yeah. But we're not going to cover that right now. I don't want to get sidetracked. Let's stay here. Let's stick to what we're actually doing. So initialization, initialize counter variable, executes only once. It doesn't execute after. We call this the counter variable, or in other words, you can also call it the loop control variable. And then what's in the orange is just the Boolean expression. And this determines how many times our loop iterates. So depending on what we define here and our increment, that determines how many times our loop will execute. So the increments our counter variable only after our first iteration. So after we do initialize this and the Boolean expression, we don't execute this immediately. So we start off with int I equals 0, and only after the first iteration, we increment the counter variable. And then afterwards, we don't check this, but we check if the Boolean expression is true. If this is true, we increment it. But let's say I is 4 and we're on our 5th iteration, or 6th. Once we increment it to 5, this Boolean expression evaluates to false, so we no longer execute the for loop. No, you didn't. You only missed 4.1. And don't worry, there's the recording. And I don't want to linger too much. You can watch the recording, or someone can explain what we covered so far. But it's not much. Don't worry. Yeah, where's Bing Bong, man? Where's the GOAT? That guy's a legend. He was really helpful last lecture. But yeah, does this make sense to everyone? Does this structure... Do I need to explain this a little more? Does anyone have any questions about this? Rock, DM me later if you want help. On 4.1. 4.1 isn't too hard. It's just while loops. Continue. Just want to get these the opinion of the majority, making sure everyone is happy and content. Is the condition checked before the first iteration? Yes, it is checked. Yes, it is checked. You always check the condition. In the second iteration, does it check then continue? Yes, it first checks, and if this evaluates the true, we increment. Where do I find the past live recordings? Lecture calendar. If I don't send it soon enough, someone please send it. But yeah. Okay, okie dokie. What is it again? And I'm on the wrong account. Fantastic. If the condition changes in the loop, will it auto-terminate? What do you mean if it changes? Like when it's executing, you can't change, the condition stays as is. I thank you for sending that. Okay, so first iteration, I equals 0, condition, increment. Yes. On the before the first iteration, we don't check the increment, but after the first iteration, we don't initialize this again. We don't execute this. We check the condition, then we increment. Right? Like if we increase the decrease in the loop, yes, that can have an impact. So let's say I equals 4 or something like that. If I equals 4 and then you go to your fifth iteration and 4 is less than 5, it'll increment and become 5. But if you increment it in the loop and 5 is less than 5, it'll evaluate to false. So if you do it in the loop, that can have an impact on how many times it executes. You can change it if you increment it in the loop, yes. Okay. Is this clear to everyone? Do I need to, So if it was I equals 4, it would iterate only once. So if I equals 4, right? So if after an iteration I equals 4, this condition is still true, we iterate, it becomes 5. We do our iteration here, I is equal to 5. Since 5 is not less than 5, that evaluates the false, so we don't iterate again. If we have 4 into x equals 0, 0 is less than x something, does that execute? I don't think so, no. If x equals 0 and the condition is 0 is less than x, that is false, so it doesn't iterate. Only from 0 to 4, yes. For this particular loop, it's 0 to 4. But if you change this to like 10, it's 0 to 9. It's not 0 to 10. Since it's 0 to 9, that'll print 10 times. We usually start at 0. But if we started at 1 and it's 5, it would iterate 4 times. Does this make sense to everyone? Anyone have any questions? Okay. Yeah? Okay, perfect. I think this is going more, this is pretty straightforward so far. Awesome. So yeah, other stuff about for loops, this is just miscellaneous. You can write for loops as while loops and vice versa. So if you have a for loop, you can change it into a while loop, and you can change a while loop into a for loop. So we're going to do a good amount of practice on that. When we do the practice, I'll have you guys, for each problem that we do, write it in a for and while loop, which shouldn't be too difficult, just to get practice on how to switch between the two. So you can know how to write both if you need. And an off by 1 error is just when the iteration statement executes 1 more or 1 less time than it's supposed to. So let's say here you increment I here within an iteration. You would have a off by 1 error. Nested loops, absolutely. We're going to go over that in 4.4 if I'm not mistaken. Never use while loops. Yeah, you don't really need to use them. For loops are the way to go usually. Me too. For loops are mostly used in FRQs. Absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of like in stats how you never use the actual formulas, you just use your calculator. Kind of like that, but not really. Anyway, now, since we have our program here, we're going off the last practice. Simply write this as a for loop. Entirely as a for loop. Write this whole program as a for loop. Wait, can a for loop become an infinite loop too? Yes. If I'm not mistaken, you can do that. So like what you can do, for example, I believe, let's say you can decrement I by 1, increments here by 1. if the condition here, so long as this is true, so long as this condition here evaluates to true, it's an infinite loop. The way you can do this is you can just negate this incrementer by simply having it decrement in the actual iteration itself. So it decrements, increments, decrements, increments. That can create an infinite loop, I believe. I'm just trying to think of it mentally. Okay, thank you, no problem. All right. Do we get an error if there's an infinite loop? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it would just continually execute and the program would crash. That's what would happen. Yeah. Or make it decrease when you need it to increase the exit. Yeah. You'll eventually hit a call stack error, I think. I don't think the name of the error does not really matter too much. Will a precrement be on the APCSA? No. That is never tested. Don't worry. You'll never test incrementing before it actually does that. You'll never test pre-increment. That's never tested. Don't worry. It's only after increments. But anyway, back to our problem. Just quickly write this as a for loop. Right? So yeah, we have our counter variable here and you can just do the rest. Yeah, not an error, but not good to do in an infinite loop? Of course not. Are we going to practice FRQs this week? Absolutely. Well, technically next week on Sunday with Nicholas's full lecture of CSA. You guys will do some practice FRQs, so no worries. You will do. Right now we're just covering the content, building the fund. What time next week? Not sure. Check the lecture calendar. I'll check for you. Hold on. Let me make it easier. While you guys do this, I'm gonna just check that. Check when the full lecture is for y'all. Because I assume everyone wants to attend that. Yeah. Nice. Cool stuff. Good stuff, y'all. Good job. I think everyone's on the same page. Full lecture is on the 4th of May at 3 p.m. EST. Okay? Yeah. Everyone gets it. Let's go. Big hand for everyone. This is very simple. Just this. All it is. I forgot to put int here. Whoopsie daisy. Don't miss the int here. You gotta always put the ints. Always, always, always. Alright? Don't do my mistake. Let me just change that real quick. Let me fix that bad boy. Because it's supposed to be int counter. If you don't initialize the type, it'll give you an error. So, yeah. Unless it's already declared before, yes. But if you're making a new counter variable, you gotta declare it here. But if it's already something you've initialized before, so if you initialize int counter, comma, just or semicolon, you can just do counter equals 0. Instead of, you could use counter in the for loop. Yeah, you can use I. You don't have to use counter. You can use anything. You can use a J, K, LMNOP, MG8mer. MG8mer's awesome. You can use anything. That doesn't. The name doesn't matter. It's just the counter. Just the name doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay, moving on. So now we're gonna do practice on 4.1 and 4.2. So now just write two methods that take a large int number and print out each of its digits starting from the last digit. So one that's with a for loop, one that's with a while loop. So for example, if I input the numbers 71563 to either method, both must print the following, 36517, in that order. So you go from last to that. And I'll show you guys the solutions. And if you want me to test any of them, we can do that as well. But if you guys get it, we might not have to do that. So yeah. So 4.1 and 4.2, that's basically the contents of Unit 4. The rest is kind of just other stuff adding on to it. Like nested iteration, that's just a loop in a loop. You can use that to do some cool stuff. 4.5, that's just counting how many times something executes. I forgot to say, you can check your notes for these questions if you need to, if you took any. You can check anything and whatnot. And also lecture feedback form. I'm going to say that a lot. If you're planning to leave early and you're not planning to stay, you can say it. And you can also please fill out the lecture feedback form. It'd be greatly appreciated, just so I know what to improve for the next few times. So I'm giving you guys time to do this. It might take a bit. I think it might. I think in Discord it's also a little annoying to do, write these kinds of things and stuff like that. If anyone wants a hint, more than happy to give them. No problem. And I encourage everyone to try this out, even if you think it might not be too easy. Try your best. Try to do something. Yeah, try your best. It's okay if you get it wrong. Totally fine. We'll go over it together. It's all good learning. All practice is good learning. That's the whole point. Even if you fail, it's okay. And if you get it right, that's also good. So both outcomes are good. Because we learn always. We always learn. Right? So, yeah. Just waiting for everyone to do the, okay. And Somni forgot to put it in a method, but I get what you're trying to do. So that's good. Yeah, that's it. I think that's right. Pretty sure. Forgot about mod. Yeah. Try not to spoil it for anyone. But I guess that's a hint. Using mod helps. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong code. This is the right one. Yeah. Parse? Is there something called int to string? You don't need to use that. You don't need to use parse int. You can use it to, you can just, it's mainly arithmetic. You can totally do this arithmetically. Yeah. I don't think it's on the exam even, so I don't think you should use it. Whoops. You messed that up. Oh, that's one way. I think that might work. Oh, that's really good. Huh. Wait, oh. There's a problem, though, in what you did, modified. Because I think in the first iteration, it'll print something wrong. But in this next iteration... No, yeah, that... Yeah. Oh, no, wait, never mind. How do we know when to use mod? What's mod? Modulus. It's this. Basically gives you the remainder. I've seen a lot of interesting solutions. I can't say for sure what is right, but I'll show you the canonical solution, you can say. What is kind of the intended method. But you can try to test yours in an IDE, and if it works, it works. Go for it. It's okay. We'll learn. Alright. I think a lot of people tried it out, and I'm just gonna, I think, go through the solution now. Is everyone good with that? Do you guys want more time to try it out? You want to just review the solution? Solution? Yeah, I think Insomnia got it right. He just forgot to put it in a method. Yes? Alright, let's go. Let's do this. So you have the two solutions, for loop and while loop. Let's go through the for loop. So it's just a public void method, doesn't return anything because we're mainly relying on printing. So you have the parameter int num in the method. Now in the loop, what you do is you initialize I to num, and you make sure that I is greater than 0. Because when I becomes 0, that's when we terminate the loop because we can't divide it further. So the way you do it is, in our first iteration, like we said, it won't divide or equal by 10. But first, to print the first digit, we take I divided by 10 and the remainder of that. Because let's say our number is something like... Let me switch screens. That'll work. So like, hold on. Let's say our number is something like, I don't know. Random number. The chat is not opening like this. If you divide by 10, your result normally would be something like this. But in Java, that gets truncated. So when you divide by that, integer division says it'll be just 184,312. And the remainder will simply be 3. That's all the remainder will be, right? So you print out the remainder, and that's the first digit that you print. And when you divide or equal by 10, the digit gets truncated. So you keep doing this until you cannot divide by 10 anymore, or when you divide by 10, it becomes 0, and that way you'll have printed all the digits. And it's the same logic here. Right, okay, wait, it's not on the slide. Yeah, so it's the same logic here. Let me go back. It's the same logic here. When you do this, it's just the same thing. So long as number is greater than 0, print the modulus of that, which is just the remainder. That'll give you the last digit, and then divide it and equal it to 10. What's that dot next to each color in your Discord? What do you mean? I use, by the way, modified client event cord. There's some extensions. So, like, some of the things, like, yeah, like that. But did my explanation of the solution make sense? Or do you guys want another explanation? Made sense? So that's the way you do it. You just use arithmetic. You divide, you use modulus and you divide. Modulus, divide, modulus, divide. That's it. It's all arithmetic. You can use parse int. When I encountered this problem on CodeHS, I was like, wait, can't you just convert it to a string? No, you can just use arithmetic to figure it out. That's all it takes. When you see these kinds of problems, try to think of how do I do it using arithmetic. And if you want to print every other digit, not every digit, would this be like an FRQ? Perhaps, but probably not. An FRQ would probably be more complex than this. But it's still good practice to just get used to like writing it quick. On FRQ1 at 2018, there was like this. Oh, interesting. Seeing something like this on a string FRQ. Interesting. Nice. But yeah, that's the logic. But if you were to print like, actually, you can do the same thing if you wanted to print like every other number. You just have to divide by 100 and then do the modulus by 100. So it give you, instead of every digit starting from the last, it give you the last and then it give you the second other digit. So it skipped one digit if you divide by 100. So you can like manipulate it in that way. Does that make sense? If you guys have questions, please ask. Feel free. 71635. Yes. Yeah, it truncates, and then you're left with a remainder of 5. Right? Yeah. Like the so mod 10 gets the last number? Yes. Because if you divide it by 10, you'll end up with the remainder with the last number. Because the last number will be how much you have left after dividing by 10. Because the last digit will be 0. Not that exactly, no. Let me switch to Discord. Yeah. Mod 2 would get you if it's even or not. No problem. Yeah. But it truncates, remember. So this, like, yeah, here, remember it truncates. What's truncate? Cuts off. Kind of like rounding, except it doesn't round, it just cuts off the decimal. Give us tips on the FRQs. I won't go over that in this lecture, but in the full review lecture that Nicholas will give, I'm sure he'll give like reviews, tips for FRQs. FRQs are kind of like, yeah, no problem. Basically, it's just you have to read the full thing, try to skim through it, do a lot of practice, and you should get the hang of pinpointing the important details. But yeah. Anyway, moving forward. I think this makes sense to everyone. So now, we're now going to 4.3. This is just developing algorithms using strings. It's very quick and easy, the lesson, but then the practice will be interesting. So, using iteration, you're able to create algorithms that traverse strings and do things such as, according to the CED, you can find if one or more substrings has a particular property. You can determine if the number of substrings meet a specific criteria, or you can create a new string with the characters reversed. And this is a foreshadowing to our practice in the next slide. Real quick. Yeah, each FRQ is out of 9. Alright? Per question. 9 per question. Okay. Moving on. So now, incorporating practice from everything, write two methods, one for each kind of loop that takes a string as a word and as a parameter, and it determines if it is a palindrome. If you don't know what a palindrome is, it's just a word that's the same backwards and forwards. And the method returns true if it's a palindrome and false otherwise. So it's a Boolean method. And for example, if you put the word taco cat, it should yield true. If you put race car, true, because backwards it's race car, taco cat, backward is just taco cat. If you put bruh, it'll be false. So, because it backwards, bruh backwards is heard, not bruh. So that's it. So now, do it. Go for it. Palindromes are in the CED? No, but if they give you a palindrome problem, they'll tell you what it is. If they tell you, oh, create a dingajing, they'll tell you what a dingajing is. They're not going to give you obscure words that you don't know, so don't worry. They'll define it. There is an FRQ about this. If you do AP Classroom, there is, I'm pretty sure, an FRQ that's related to palindromes. So if you did that, this should be easy. Would you have to do substring? I think, yeah. No, you don't use substring. No, you do use substring, yes. You need substring. Good thinking for RM44N. You need to reverse the word manually. Yes. Good thinking. You should do that. Okay, let me switch to the chat. So quick reminder again, you can check your notes if you need to. If you did this already, you can try to remember how you did it originally. But let me send again the lecture feedback form, please. If you're gonna leave early, I see a lot of people have left, kind of dipped, maybe planning to watch it later on their own time instead of live. Please do the lecture, fill out the lecture feedback form if you plan to leave early. All right. Spelling mistakes, okay. Spelling mistakes are totally fine. You won't be penalized for that. I'm pretty sure if you make like small syntax errors, it won't really penalize you that much. Like very minute. Like if you forget a semicolon, I don't think they're gonna penalize you for that much. So long as like the logic there. Like just subtract points, if I'm not mistaken. Because it's like such a small thing. They're mainly looking for the logic. And if you actually implemented the solution, if it works. Yeah. Small syntax errors penalized or penalized. No, it's penalized. It's not penalized. Right? So let me just go back here to the lecture. Guys, do this. Do this problem. If you can do a while and for loop, that'd be great. You forgot how to, we'll go over it. Don't worry. Try to do it. I'll give you a hint. You need to you can try to go backwards. You can start at the end of the word and use substring. That's all I'm gonna say. That should be pretty, I think, a big hint. You start from the last of the word. You figure out how to do that using a loop. Does it have to do something with splitting the word in half? You can try, but in my solution, you don't do that. Can we use char at? You can, but you can use substring. Substring works, and I don't think char at. You prefer it? Go for it. If it works, it works. There is no one way to do it. If there is another way that works, it works. You know, I'm not gonna like say, oh, you have to do it this one way. That's a start, Ariane. That's a start. A public Boolean high string word. Then you need to implement the rest. Char at is not AP CSA stuff, but you can do it. Yeah, if you prefer it, go for it. Substring is not everyone's cup of tea. So yeah. So try your best to do this. Might be a little difficult. For the people who are AFKing a little bit, try your best to engage. Try to engage with the problem. Even if you get it wrong, that's okay. Totally fine. Because we learn and we... so when you actually practice, you are more likely to learn. Who knows, you might actually get it right. But I get the logic can be a little annoying. Public palindrome, that's a string. That's a start. You start with the method declaration. Oh, insomnia. That is, oh, That is a lot. Dang. I don't know if this solution works, but if it, you can try it out. That's certainly not what I did, but it's creative. Maybe my solution is wrong even. But I mean, if it works, it works. But I think there's a simpler way to do it. If I'm not mistaken. Unless I'm wrong. Let me just try to analyze this. Yeah. I think Insomnia, yeah, your solutions are really good. Yeah. But there is a simpler way to do it. Unless it's wrong. So let's just... Do you guys want more time, or should I show my solution? There is a simpler way for sure. But I mean, if it gets the job done, they're not going to really penalize you if you do it in a more complex way. But it might, buy you some... subtract some time. Alright. Do you guys want more time, or should I go through my solution for this? Oh my god, you're the first person in your school history to take CSA? Congrats. That's insane. Alright, but just going once, going twice. Should I, do you guys want more time? Alright. Middle East. Wait, Camotant, you live in the Middle East? Wait, what? Wait, where do you live? I live in Jordan. What about you? Yeah. Iraq? Nice. It sucks, I know. Yeah. How do you have an English accent when you live in Jordan? Allahu Alam, I don't know. Okay, let me look at Modify's solution. Modify, that's exactly what I did. Good job, I'm pretty sure. Pretty much what I did. Alright, let's go for it. This is the solution. Very simple, very nice. Let's go through it. We have the method. It's a Boolean, palindrome, string, word, reverse word. So now first we define a new string called reverse word. So we're just going to store the reverse of this word here, and then at the end we're just going to return if these equal each other. And if this equals this, it'll be true. If it doesn't, it equals false. Okay? So for our loop, we start off from the first word dot length. We start from the end of the word to the beginning of the word. That's how we do it. And then we make sure that I is greater than or equals than 0, because one of our index can be 0. And then we decrement I by 1 each time, which represents that we're going backwards through the word and just adding it to reverse word. And what we add to reverse word is just the substring of I and I plus 1. So that just means that we're including one character, and we're just starting from backwards and going to forwards, right? And it's the same thing here, except that we define the counter outside and we define our thing outside, and the while loop is just the condition and what we do here and the decrementer. That's it. It's very simple. And corrected version of mine. Yeah. I mean, if your solution also works, that also works. But this is, I think, a more... This is one way to do it, and I think it's a little bit, more condensed and shorter. But does this solution make sense? But I'm not saying yours is bad by any means. It's just, yeah. Will we get blocking? I get mixed up on mine. What do you mean? But just, does my solution make sense? Does everyone understand how it works? I did the same thing. Why is it word sub dot substring? Because let's say you start off, let's say our word is Jack. Why isn't it I? No, because when you're doing substring, the first part of the parameter is the lesser index. So with substring, you start off with like the beginning index and then what you want to end off at. So if it's substring 0, 1 and our word is Jack, so if it's Jack dot substring so like if our word is Jack and it's substring dot 1, we'll get J, because we start off at our 0th character, which is J, and then we end off at 1 but not include it. 1 will be A. Let me just switch to Discord real quick. So yeah, it's index of start, index of end, not including. Exactly. Thank you. That was very helpful. Very good explanation. So you see here, with substring, it's just this. Index of start, index of not including. No problem. Yeah, and Sonia, that was a really good explanation. That's it. All right. But does this make sense to everyone? Yes? While loops one more time really quickly. I'm going to do a very quick overview because I want to get moving. Okay, let's just go through while loops one last time really quickly. While loops is just while this condition is true, keep doing this. Oh, not while loop itself? Oh, the while loop solution. Oh, my bad. Skipped too far. The while loop way. Basically, it's the same thing as doing a for loop, but with a while loop, you put the condition inside the while, but then for your incrementer, you just put it on the outside. So like we said here, our incrementer is I. We just make I equal to word.length minus 1. Same thing here. We put it on the outside. And when we decrement inside our loop. But here it decrements for us inside the actual for statement. So that's all it is. It's the exact same thing, except, wait, why wouldn't it be I equals 1? Because it doesn't really make sense to start at, like, let's say the word Jack. If you start at J, if you start at A and then go to J, that doesn't really make sense. That's not a correct syntax. Basically same thing, just different position for the decrement. Yes. It's just while loop stuff. For the while loop solution, it's just the same thing for loop. So it's the substring logic is the exact same, but it's just, yeah, it's just a different formatting, basically. That's it. And you want me to explain this again, or does this make sense to everyone? Oh, whoa. Is this like an FRQ? Oh, I didn't see I equals length minus 1. Yeah. If you start at length and then you do I plus 1, you get a syntax error. So you have to start off from like, yeah. What did I miss? You missed quite a bit, but don't worry, this is recorded. So yeah. I thought it was at 0. No. We start at the end. We start at the end of the string because we want to make a new string that's just the reverse and then compare them to see if they're equal. If they're equal, the word is a palindrome. If they're not equal, simple, it's not a palindrome. That's it. Even if you're going backwards, it's still plus 1. Yes. Because let's say our word again, like I said, is Jack. This Jack is let me start doing Discord. So Jack, this is 4 characters. And then when we initialize word.length I will be equal to 3. So like this. And when we're making our substring, when we start off at I, since I is equal to 3, in Jack, the third character will be C. The third character is C. Wait, actually, hold on a second. Yeah, no. It's word.length 4, 3, no. The third character is K because J is 0. So you go from K, and then when you do I plus 1, you're not including the length of the word, so it won't be a syntax error. So when you do I plus 1, so when you do 3, And then 4, that's K. When you do 2 and 3 of substring, that's C, and so forth. I hope this makes sense. Got it. Awesome. The solution is wrong, but why is it? Public static palindrome. Boolean x equals true? Given length. What's given dot... Oh, given dot length. Do you guys know when they say, like, write the class or write this method, do we write the signature too, or just the implementation inside it? They usually give you the signature and you just write the implementation. Typically. The solution is wrong, but why is it? I'm trying to understand. Given dot substring y dot equals given dot length minus y. Yeah. Okay, I don't want to go through that solution. We might go through it in the Q&A to see what's wrong with it, but I want to move on. I don't want to spend too long on these things. I hope you guys understand. Because we've been on this for a while, so I just want to move on. Alright? Einitz. Okay. Let's, CSA scares me. It shouldn't. Okay. But guys, you ready to move on? Oh, you got a one oof. Yeah? It happens. Alright, let's move on. So now nested iteration. Nested iteration is just when a loop statement, this is not, should be a loop statement, not an. Loop statement is within another loop statement. For loop in a for loop, while in a for in a while, like, you can interchange them, etc. When a loop is embedded within another, the inner loop has to complete its iterations first before the outer loop iterates. Right? According to the CED. So if we see here, this, when we're doing this iteration, when we're iterating this, this must finish iterating before we can iterate this again. Right? So that's how a nested loop works. So just quickly, what does this program do? Just a quick description. What will the output of this program be? Guac, that is right, but could you be a little more accurate? How does it, what's the shape? How exactly will it print? Like, it does do that, but does it print in some exact way? Insomnia got it. That's how it would look like. That's how, what would it be? Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I messed up something. My mistake, guys. This is what the code is meant to look like. Here. Okay, re-answer. Because this is how it's meant to be. In the previous one, actually, Guac, you were right. In the previous version, you're right. Yes, sorry. If it's like this, then it prints the proper way. That's why I was so confused. Yeah, I'm sorry. Because I thought I had it right. Yeah, this is how the code is meant to be. Dopo, yes, but be more specific. Like, how does it print? How would it look like? Guac, perfect. Awesome. Seven row of 5. Perfect. Well done. Very good. Excellent job. So yeah. Can we see it run? Absolutely. This will be the output, but if you guys want to see the output live, I can show you. This is how the output would look like. It would print 5, and then it would print 5 hashtags, print line, this would iterate again, and it would do this 7 more times. So this iterates 5 times. If we didn't have this outer for loop, we would just have this print 5 times and that's it. But since we have an outer for loop, it repeats this process 7 more times, like so. So it prints a grid. What would happen if the print statement said dot line? It would just print the hashtags with space. How does it know to go to the next line rather than printing it all? Because we use dot print. When we use dot print, it doesn't print a new line. It just prints it all in the same line. And then once this is done iterating, we print a new line, and then so we can print a new row of these, and then a new row of these, and then a new row of these, and so on. Quick reminder for everyone, lecture feedback form. I'm sorry for saying this 10,000 times. If you're gonna leave early, fill it out. Print line keeps it the same line. Print separates it. Print line prints it on a new line. So when you print something, it prints a new line so that the next thing is on a new line. But print by itself doesn't print a new line so that the next output is on the same line. It would just print one on different 35 lines and so on 35 times. Yes, good explanation, Guac. Thank you. No problem. Now, the challenge is, make this print a pyramid that is n hashtags long. Create a method that is n hashtags long. So like when you put a specific number, the method will print some pyramid that is n tall, n hashtags tall. So instead of printing a grid, you're printing a pyramid. So think of how you would do that. And you don't have to left align the pyramid, you can keep it right aligned to make it easier. If you had to left align it, that'd be a little more difficult. But just keep it right aligned. It could be, yes, that's all you have to do. You don't have to make it left aligned. Not asking for a lot. Not asking for that much. Just the basic concept of the nested loop where you have it as a left pyramid. Okay? I encourage everyone, again, check your notes if you need to. Try to use your intuition. And everyone, as many people as possible, try your best to answer. Even if you think it's wrong, please try to answer. It's always good to practice. But if you really need to, you can take a look at other people's solutions before we go to mine. Loki, how does a triangle pyramid look? Let me just show you guys. So let me just switch over to Discord quickly. Not like that. It's a right aligned pyramid, so it would, wait, crap. It would look like this. And so on. Exactly. Like that. Your program has to output this, but create a method so that you can customize how tall it is. Alright, bet. Alright, no problem. Okay, back to the slides. I guess that is a pyramid. But that's not the pyramid I'm looking for. If you guys want to see a demo of any of these programs, please let me know. I have the CodeHS sandbox ready. I wanted to use VS Code, but I didn't feel like it. CodeHS works just fine for this. All right. What is this? I'd rather you write the code for the pyramid and not just the hashtags. Yeah. If you guys need a hint, I'll try to give one. In Python, no, Java. This is APCSA. Okay, go up. Let's see yours. Guac, yes, but I don't think it's less than equals I. I think that's wrong, but everything else looks pristine. Well done. Did you make this using ChatGPT? Not Insomnia. I know Insomnia is a... I don't think it's less than equals. I'm pretty sure, but everything else looks perfect. Yeah, good job. Super Dancer, I think yours is a little off. Let me see here. Your height. Which part is off? The inner or outer loop. You repeat I twice. First of all, I think that's a bit of a problem. And have it. And you're supposed to have it so that it's one parameter, not two. Two parameters for rows and columns. No, you don't need two parameters. You just need one to customize how tall it is. And the way the pyramid works is that for every row it increments y1. So the first row is 1 to 1, the third row is 3 hashtags, the fourth row is 4. And however, whatever you put in is the height. So let's say you put a height of 5, the program should output, wait, let me go to Discord so this shows. The output should be the following. So if you want to print a pyramid that is 5 hashtags tall, your output should be this. Wait, not that, there should be an extra row. But your output should be this. Like so. But then if it's like 3, your output would look something like this. So that's the specification. I think I made the instructions a little unclear. Hope that clarified things a little bit. Wait, how would you know to put... Because if it's just... It doesn't print for the first number. Hold on, I'll test my solution and see if you need the less than equals, just to verify that. Because you guys might be right. I could be wrong, of course. Because you could need the less than equals. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good pointing out, Guac, because if it's less than n or equal to... Let me open the chat. If your solution looks like this, it'll just print a square. You're back to square one. You're meant to print a pyramid, as I showed earlier. Yeah. Do you guys want more time, or should I show how to do this thing? Just a quick check, guys. Show, please? Alright. Just a quick check. Are my explanations and stuff like that making sense? Like, are you guys understanding everything? Yep? Perfect. Awesome. Alright. Let's now see the solution. So, it would look something like this. Now, I could be wrong in terms of the solution, so I'm gonna go check the editor to make sure this is how you do it correctly. So I'm pretty sure this outputs this, but let's just test it out. So let me just close this out and just copy paste this. Just bear with me, this shouldn't take too long. And open now Code.hs. Can you guys see this? Yeah? Alright. So let's just paste this bad boy method in here. Paste this in here, do some indenting, and it looks something like this. So let's just call pyramid. What do you guys want the height to be? 5? Just a test number. 5? Let's do 5. Okay. Run. If this output's wrong, then yeah, you guys might be right about the equals, less than equals. So the height should be 5. Oh, it's a static method. Oopsie. Yeah. You guys are right. I think it needs to be equals. try that. There we go. You're right, guys. It needs to be equals. That's completely my mistake. So yeah, when it's not equals, it prints a gap here. So yes, you do need the equals here to make sure it actually iterates. So yeah. Does this make sense? Did that make sense to everyone? Or do you guys want me? Okay. Alright. So let me just edit the code. Thank you guys for pointing out the right thing to do. I can't see your screen. Sorry, because I'm just like editing my slides. Let me just switch to the sandbox so you guys can wait, never mind. I'll show my screen in a moment. I'm just editing my my slides. Okay. So yeah, thank you guys for pointing out how to actually do it. I messed up. But that's how you do it, yeah. You need to make sure to have the equals so that it actually prints out correctly like this. And I also changed this. But does this make sense to everyone? Okay, I believe that's a yes from everyone. If you're gonna leave early, once again, lecture feedback form. Helps me out a ton. Alright, moving on to 4.5. So informal code analysis, this is just statement execution counts, number of times a statement is executed by the program. That's all it is. And then we're just gonna go straight into the practice. So now, okay, let me just modify this method real quick, because this is supposed to be the method from the last one, but it's not showing right. Just like that. Just put it here. Okay. All right. Lectern. Indeed so. Alright. Showing this here. So now if you have this code, how many times does if n equals 7, how many times does this print statement system.out the hashtag execute? And what about if it's 9, and what about if it's 11? I'm gonna test this out myself real quick just to make sure that it's correct, because I might have to change the slides a little bit. Let me open the chat. I'm just checking my code. Hi guys. Thank you for joining. Okay, I think everyone's on the same page. Excellent. Okay, I changed up the slides now. They should be right. Give me one moment to represent this. Awesome. Alright. When is stats? The next stats lecture is, I think, sometime this week for Unit 4. I'm no longer lecturing for Unit 4, I'm sorry. But yeah. I think everyone gets the answers. So yeah, I think I'm gonna move on because I think most people have answered. Just reopen Discord on my other monitor. So here, yeah, it's just 28, 45, 66, and it's just simple math. So if you have like 7, for example, this will execute once, and then twice, and then 3 times, and then 4 times, and then 5 times, and then 6, and then you just add those up. That should equal 128. So 1, 6, 7, 18, 18, 22, 25, 27, and 28. Yeah, you just add them up. First it executes once, then twice, then 3 times, then 4 times, then 5 times, then 6 times, and 7 times. Quick question. I saw something called abstract. Is that included? Elaborate. What do you mean abstract? Abstract methods. I've never heard of those, so probably not. I thought it would be 56. Which one? For 9? Let me go back to Discord so I can show you guys. 7. No, for 7, remember, we first execute the print statement once, then twice, then 3 times, then 4 times, until we execute it 7 times. So the amount of times it'll execute is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Oops, I opened the wrong thing. 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7. Do the math, that is 28. Same thing for 8. Same thing for 9, that's 45. Same thing for 11, that's 66. Does that make sense to everyone? No problem. But is everyone good with that? Mm-hmm. Okay, I think makes sense to everyone. What we doing right now? What did you not understand? We were just seeing if n here is 7, how many times this print statement will execute. These are abstract methods normally found in interfaces to be implemented in the actual class. Okay, my bad. It's fine. But yeah, I think we're just going to move on now. So we're done with the content, guys. Yippee. We're now doing the Kahoots. So let me get that set up real quick. Finally. Yes. Would you guys say the lecture overall was good? It was good? Awesome. That's great. Remember, guys, once we're done with the Kahoots and we get to the Q&A, please fill out the feedback form. Better than last night? Oh, for sure. Last night was kind of a disaster. I'm sorry about that. Today was more, yeah, more organized. So yeah, I'm very sorry about last night. Thank God it was not recorded. This time I've got my stuff together. It was less time consuming, yeah. It was like people were helping, but I kind of was disoriented and I was just not in the best state. Tonight is better, way better. This was a session last night. There was, but it was awful. It was the worst. It was pretty bad. It was not terrible, but it could have been way better. All right. What time are your sessions? I'm done with giving sessions. This is my last lecture, guys, by the way. I need to, okay, guys, my PC might get a little louder because I think Kahoot might lag my PC for some reason. We'll miss you. I'll miss you guys, too. But I gotta lock in for APs, man. I'd love to keep lecturing, but it is pretty time-consuming to make these and stuff like that. Okay, I made my fans... You're gonna be lecturing next year? Absolutely. Hopefully. I love lecturing. It's my jam. It's me and my element, so how could I not love it? Alright, here's the Kahoot. Oops, wrong thing. Oops, that is the wrong thing. MGMer, what you taking this year APs? Good question. What APs am I taking? Oh wait, let me answer that, sorry. I'm taking CSA, Stats, Psych, Physics 1. Can you set it such that we can see the questions on our own screen? I don't think I can. You're meant to see it on the big screen. In the settings menu? Click the settings on the bottom right corner. Okay, let me do that. Hold on. Which one? Option. First option. Oh! Okay, done. Did that. Hooray. All the way on the top? No problem. I've done FRQs on paper, so typing them on Chromebook is hard? Yeah, fair. But yeah, I think for the digital exam you need to do the FRQs. Yeah. Let me just make sure I get Okay. Should I start, guys? You guys ready to start? Sure. Good luck, everyone. We'll do this, and then we'll do a Q&A, and then we'll be done. Super easy, awesome. Let's see the temperature of my PC. It's bearable. 200 degrees. Let's start this thing. May the best man or woman win. Simple 11 questions. What is the sprint? Took a while. It's fine. It's all good learning. Just some good fun practice. Guys, how are you doing it so fast? Yep, it's blue. Basically, in a nutshell, what this program does, how many players? 17, I believe. But in a nutshell, what this program does is it prints which numbers are even or odd using modulus 2. So when you do modulus 2, 0 divided by 2 is just 0, so the remainder is 0. But then when you do 1 divided by 2, the remainder is 1, because you can't, when you try to put 2 into 1, you can't put 2 into 1, so you're just left with 1. And then 2 divided by 2 is 1, so the remainder is 0, and so on and so forth. So it's blue. Red and green are not it, absolutely not. Yellow is the inverse of blue, so it's blue. Got it? Took some time to trace, no problem. I just like to explain because we're here to learn and also have fun, you know, for the cahoots. Alright, next one. Let's see who's on top. Musical moods. Who is musical moods? Oh, it's this guy, I think. Alright, very well. Alright. One more question. Which of the following loops will output this? Which one is it? One of them might throw you off. Misclick happens, bro. You might have messed up. It's okay. Yeah, don't play Minecraft now. Play the Kahoot and then you can go play Minecraft. Everyone answer, I don't want to have to wait for 30 seconds. Rather take your time than try to your answer. Yep. No, good strategy. Yeah, take your time, guys. Yep, it's green. Blue threw me off as well, don't worry. Blue threw me off because if you look here, it starts off with 0, and like we said, in the first iteration, this doesn't increment. So we print 0, and the output will be 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And green, we start from 1, so we do 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So this is the output, it's the correct output. Rohan, good question. Was CSA tough for me? I'm actually taking it right now, but honestly, not really. I do pretty good on the progress checks, MCQs, FRQs are not too hard for me. I think it's just because I program a lot in my free time, so the logic for me is very intuitive. CodeHS helped a lot, so I pick up the logic really quickly, so it's all practice. It's not like I'm a genius or anything, I just practiced. That's all it is. I do horrible on the progress checks, but do great on the tests. Oh yeah, the progress checks are really confusing. Sometimes they throw me off as well, so... Yellow almost threw me off, but I looked again. Look, the conditional literally is, it'll only print if it's 2. So it'll only be 1 output. It's completely useless. This is a dead throwaway. But I get it. Yeah. Okay, next question. Who's now on top? Musical Moves is still in the lead, with Sari catching up now. Guac in 3rd place. So, Musical Moves. I'm just decent with logic? Yeah, Insomnia, exactly. I'm also, I think, decent with logic as well. When you program a lot, you get good at logic. Oh, this one's a little more complicated. How many lines of output will be produced? So this is related to 4.5. Use your logic to just determine how many times will this output. A good trick is how many times does this execute and how many times does this execute and multiply them. That should give you the answer. Boom, I just gave you the answer. Yeah, take your time and read carefully. I gave you a hint. The hint is just look at how many times this executes and look at how many times this execute. Multiply them, you get the total execution. Because when you see how many times this yeah, it's red. Because the second loop, the inner loop executes 3 times, the outer loop executes 2 times, multiply that, and the total execution count will be 6 times. So 6 lines of output will be produced. That's it. That's all it is. So yeah, when it comes to these informal code analysis questions, it helps to multiply the execution counts of the inner and outer loop. That's the strategy. How's the outer one 2 times? No, it's not 1 time, it's 2 times. Because it's less than or equal to, so it iterates 1 time, it adds 1, and then it iterates another time because the conditional is still true. I'm used to loops starting at 0 and not 1, and yeah, this one's a little tricky. So yeah, it's just... that's why you shouldn't rely on like defaults. You should always try to look at the question and read carefully because they're going to try to throw you off. Did you make these? Nope. I can't be bothered making them. I just found one and it's, it works well. You don't need me to make one. This does the job. I get to explain to you guys and you guys get to understand. It's all win-win. And I don't have to waste my time making these. If you guys are going to stick up for a bit of the Kahoot and leave, please fill out the lecture feedback form. I ask of you to do it. Reading the questions is almost the most important, so don't stress yourself in it. Also, at least for FRQs, try going through your code after you've done all necessary steps. Is the variable initialized? Yes. Yeah, no, Mom, good advice. You need to go through your code. Anyway, if you're going to leave early, please fill out the lecture feedback form. Thanks. Moving on. Okay, wow. Musical Moods has gone off the leaderboard. And now Sari Sari's on top. by quite a lot. So good stuff. Will you keep it up, or will you fall down like our friend Musical Moods? What will be returned after the call? Mystery Asparagus A. So this is a good one. You gotta read the code carefully. You're given quite a bit of time, so just, you know, yeah. I think I know the answer. This one's a little annoying. It's kind of a tough one. So yeah, it's okay if you mess up. Like, it's just, I get the feeling. You can't be bothered going through this. It's just so annoying doing it in your head. By the way, I encourage you guys to check your notes and try to trace it out on paper. Because if you trace it mentally, you could mess up. If you don't have the experience. Yep, it's 6. Because the method essentially checks how many A's are in the word, and depending on how many A's there are, it subtracts that amount from the word length. So that's the logic. So if you notice in the method, C is just the length of the word, and every time it finds the letter A in the word, which is 3 times, it'll subtract 1 from C, and since there are 3 A's in asparagus and the word length is 9, what will be returned is 6. What's the equals let for? Like, what do you mean? Oh, if the character that we're looking at is the same as the character we inputted here. When you input here, this is let. Let is the char parameter A, correct. Could you perchance post the lecture form? I gotta go. Yes, I'll post it again. Thank you for letting me know that you're gonna go. This is what you should do, guys. If you're gonna leave early, please fill out the lecture form. It helps me a ton, and just let me see what I did wrong. Anyway. Moving on. Does this make sense to everyone, or should I explain, like, roughly again? Because I can't see the question anymore, so I forget. So I try my best to, yeah. Move on? It's Computer Science Advanced. CSA stands for Computer Science Advanced. Alright. No, this is recorded. This is recorded. Don't worry. This is recorded. Moving on. Alright. Sari, good stuff. Awesome. You're 600 ahead. Wow. That is insane. Good stuff. Guys, Musical Moods is also back in 2nd place. No, Sari, don't say that. Come on. You got this. You're crushing it. You're crushing it. P is principles. Alright, what is returned by backwards hello? I think the name is pretty self-explanatory, guys. Oh no, we literally did this. Remember in our slides? This same method I implemented. We already did this. So you guys should get this right, I hope. Wait, actually, I think something bad occurs. Yeah, Sari's just, the underdog. Yeah, there's a problem, I think. Yeah. No, I initially saw the method, and it looked correct to me, but then I saw one thing, and I think I know what the problem is. So if I'm not mistaken, it's an error occurs. It's not ole. An error occurs. Why? Because in our for loop, we set the counter to word.length, not word.length minus 1. So when we go to check the char at, we check an index that doesn't exist because the first word, the first character is 0. Yeah, okay, thank you for sending the screenshot. So let me just switch here so that we can explain this real quick. It's all good learning. It's all good learning. So if you look here, take a look here. Screenshot doesn't really show too well, but you get the point. When we look here, we see that I is equal to word.length. Since the word dot, like let's say our word is Jack, again, the length of the word is 4. But when we try to access the index 4, 4 doesn't exist because the highest index is 3. Because the first letter, the index is 0. We start at index 0 and go up, and the last index is 3. So when we try to access 4, that results in an error. So an error occurs and not backwards. Right? Highest index is 4. It's not 3. No, it's 3. It's not 4. No, I'm giving an example. Yeah, for hello, the highest index is 4. The length of the word is 5. It's 4. Looping backwards also does length -1. Barely noticeable when solving. Yeah, you gotta look for those fine details, because if you just look through it and then answer, you're gonna get the wrong thing. So you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. Did Sari fail? Let's see. Let's see who's on top now. Boys and girls. Oh no. Wow. M shoots to the top. Who's M? Show yourself. Who is M? Who is our new potential champion? M is MSJLos? Nice. Good job. Will you guys make a comeback? Let's see. Consider the following program. What will be printed? We're back to easy questions. Wait, actually, no. We're not back to easy questions. Guys, don't answer immediately. Wait, look at the program. Look at the program. Check everything. And then answer. I'm just going to say that. Because you're going to mess up. If you don't read the question properly, you will mess up. Archbird, stop spoiling it for everyone. Stop. That's not fun for everyone, man. Let them figure it out on its own. Yeah, you gotta be slower with these. Sari, yeah, the answer is purple. How'd you know that? Oh my god. Guys, answer purple, come on. The answer is purple. It's clearly purple, chat. It's white. It's black. It's yellow. I see some people put this, but as we can see, did someone take a screenshot of the code? Or the question? Because notice, in our condition, it's 0 is greater than 5. And is 0 greater than 5? No. So because that's false, we don't even enter the loop. So nothing happens, nothing prints. It's not an error, nothing happens. Is this Kahoot part screen recorded for the explanations? What do you mean? The audio records, so my explanations are recorded. So yes, my explanations are recorded, if that's what you're trying to ask. Oh, I think this is our musical moods. This guy. I don't think we can hear the explanations because of Kahoots. Really? Okay, let me mute the music. Show media. Where? Okay. Wait, no. Oh, I can't. I'm changing lobby music. Oops. Show media is in the middle. Oh. Ah, my bad. I didn't see that. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So you see here, if we look here, our condition is 0 is greater than 5. That isn't true, so this doesn't execute at all. It's not an error, it's just nothing prints. So this isn't true, it's yellow. Okay, come on, I'm not old. I get tunnel vision. You liar. I'm sorry. Okay, I will not throw you guys off again. Yeah, I won't throw you off. I'm going to look at the question and actually be honest. That question was a tricky one. It was a tricky one. Okay. Sari back on the top. Good job. Good job, Sari. Let's keep doing this. Consider the following code meant to simulate a 6-sided roll. What is wrong? So we're trying to debug the code now. Okay. I'm trying to analyze this. Oh, this is brutal. Yeah. Remember how we went over what we went over in 4.1? If you don't have the counter inside the while, it's a similar concept. Yeah, it results in something a very nasty thing. Yeah, it's not. Is this what the MCQ look like? Looking at it, judging from the progress checks, yeah. Oh yeah, some of you guys got that wrong. Ugh. It happens. It's yellow, right? Your brother clicked on blue? Oof. Tough. So, the reason why it's yellow, because when we do math.random, we assign die roll to a value. So let's say die roll is 3. While die.roll is not equal to 3, you roll this. And since we never ever assign die roll, since we're in the while loop, die roll is outside, so we never reassign it. Die roll stays at the same value, so it results in an infinite loop. So die roll isn't being reassigned, so it results in an infinite loop. Can I get a reminder on the syntax for math.random? Yeah, math.random, what that does is it generates a random double from 0 to 1. But then what you do is to change the range, to change the maximum, you multiply it by what you want your upper number to be. So let's say you want your upper number to be 10, you multiply by 10, or in this case 6. But if you want to change your minimum, you add. So if you want your minimum to be like 2, you add 2. But in this case, if you want your minimum to be 1, you add 1. Then what you do is you cast it as an int so that it's no longer a double. How late am I? Very late. We're about to finish the Kahoot and the lecture. Well, it's 6, but not including 6. Yes, it's 1 to 6, not including those. Would it be better if you use math.random or random.nextInt next double? I'm not sure. Depends. Math.random is on the reference sheet, exactly. It's including 6. Yeah. Okay. You get a reference sheet, yes. With certain values and stuff. I know. Alright. I want to finish in 8 minutes, so I'm just going to go on. Sari on the top. Let's go. Nice. Can someone top Sari? Let's see. What will be returned by mystery? Hi, how are you? So we have a method here. Hi, how are you? What does it do? Oh, this is gnarly. What does this do? This is really complicated. I'm trying to do it in my head. I'm failing miserably. This is so weird. Yeah, it's this, I think. The way you know is you can just circumvent the entire process. So when we put hi, how are you? I will be the first instance of blank. So blank is at index 2. Yeah, that's what the method does. If you figure out the logic, you can just solve it. But if you can't figure out the logic, you have to do it all manually. So yeah, from what it seems, it just deletes every space. And every other word. Yeah. So when we start off with here, so while I is greater than 0, so I is 2 in this case, f is just 0 to 2. So f, the string of f will be from 0 to 2, so it'll be just high. Because we don't include 2, so it'll just be high. So it's yeah. So then we go to s, And then word.substring s, we go from index 4 until onwards. So we start 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We go from ow, and then we go all the way here. So because it's high ow ryu, you can just guess blue from that. But if you want to make sure it's not an infinite loop, you just keep repeating the logic. And then once you have high were you, your next I will be here. Are you streaming OBS? Yes. That's why there's a red border. Does that make sense? Did that explanation make sense? Someone can explain it in a better way. Guys, I tried to explain it and make sense of it. That's how I tried to solve it. Because this question's really annoying. Okay, moving on. Are there any values of word that could crash? So it's the same method. What would cause this method to crash? This one's pretty easy. What was the code to join? The pin is here. Yeah, this one's not as hard. Okay. Okay, it's just the last character in a word is space, because if the last character in the word is space, when you try to do I plus 2, you're going to access an index that doesn't exist. That's it. I'm going a little fast because I just want to get this done before the 1 hour 45 minute mark, to leave time before the 2 hour mark. Okay, what will be the output? Okay, I think I know this one. This one's a little complicated. Yeah, it's hot pink, guys. Yeah, this one's a little complicated, but I'll try to explain it a little quick. It's red. The reason why it's red is that here we start off by printing blank spaces. So since I is 0, here we start out by printing 5 blank spaces. So 5 iterates downwards. So we start out by printing 5, and then I becomes 1. So we print 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. So the amount of spaces varies. And then what we do is, this is fixed, so we always print 5, but this will move to the left because of the amount of spaces we print. That's it. So it's red. Okay, Guac's in the lead and Sari is second. Last question. I don't know what the output exactly would be. I guess it's that, yeah. I thought an error would occur. But yeah, so since we start off with n equals 5, multiply by 5, 15, and then we add to s 15, and then a blank space. Then we multiply again, and then n becomes 45, so we increment 45, then we multiply by 3 again, and then we add 135, and that's it. Since we add always a space, there will be spaces in between them. So it's 15, 45, 135, and then the loop will exit. So that's it. Let's see who's on the leaderboard. Sari's third. Insomnia second. And in first place, Guac. Good job, Guac. Well done. Congratulations. Nice one. Good job, guys. This was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with this. Okay, moving on. So now, I don't know why I closed my lecture slides. Probably should have not done that. It's whatever. Okay. Okay. Give me a second, guys. Don't leave just yet. Wait. We're almost done. So well done to Guac. GG's. For real, Guac is a code monkey. Okay. Bro locked in. Okay, so for extra review sources, if you guys want, you can check out AP Classroom. The 5Hive website has some good stuff. Not right now, but it will have some good stuff in the future. I have to do that plug. Code HS is pretty good if you have access to it. The CED, the AP CSA Java course on Runestone, CS Awesome. I'm pretty sure that's free. And AP past exam FRQs, you know, those are always useful. The curriculum is not changing hasn't changed right now, so you can still use those, and that's it. So now, thanks to everyone who has stayed. I really appreciate every single one of you. You guys are awesome. Because you guys all made it this far, I expect all of you guys to please fill out the lecture feedback survey. Everyone in here, if you can fill that out, that'd be greatly appreciated. Take a few minutes to fill it out. Take a few moments. You made it this... Well, Gian, you didn't really, you joined... Of course! Yeah, but please fill it out. So now, quick Q&A. I'm supposed to allocate 15 minutes for this. And it's 1:48. So technically I'm not supposed to go over 2 hours, but I don't think anyone is going to have any questions unless I'm mistaken. But I think everyone is, yeah. I haven't studied at all since the beginning of the year. Am I cooked for the AP exam? No. Hopefully not. Let me switch to Discord. Alright. Guys, if you, just before you leave, fill out the lecture feedback form, please. Just make sure you do that. Why are you 6 feet 7 inches tall? I'm not. Yeah, make your own projects and you're good. You guys have 11 days to study. Yeah, lock in, chat. Well, actually, for me, the exam's on the 21st because I have another exam on the 7th, so they conflicted, so I have to have my exam moved. Yeah. So I have extra time to study. But yeah, y'all gotta lock in. I believe in you guys, though. It's not hard. You just gotta know your content, you gotta practice, and you should get a 5. One of the two. Still enough time. Study. Yes. Lock in, guys. Lock in. Of course. We're all gonna get 5s, guys. Manifest, manifest. So yeah, if you guys don't have any questions, you can feel free to leave. Make sure before you leave to fill out the lecture feedback form and then leave. All right? Let me just send it again and again, just to emphasize that. Of course, the studying is only for people who don't trust themselves. If you have any questions, ping me for no reason whatsoever if you really need to. You can also ping me. I'm also, you know, a good resource. You can use me. You have roll on the 8th, CSA on the 7th. I have my A-level Arabic exam on the 7th of May, and then my stats exam on the 8th of May, and then 2 exams on the 16th, and then CSA on 21st. What is Unit 4 of CSA? Iterations, loops, and stuff like that. This lecture was recorded, so if you want to watch it, you can feel free to. Anyone want to do group self-study today for CSA? Yeah, I mean, you can do group self-study. Me, I have 8 push physics and lang. Wait, Insomnia, what grade are you in? 11th, nice. I'm taking stats, psych, physics 1, and CSA. Next year I have 7. Oh, good luck, man. Alright. Did you guys, whoever's still in here, did you guys fill out the lecture feedback form? Yes? Perfect. Alright. If you guys don't have any more questions, you can leave, and that'll be the end of the lecture. Of course. Anytime. Anytime. Bye. I have US Gov. Good. Wish you the best, man. You guys are going to crush those exams. Trust me. You guys worked hard. You guys are going to do great. Of course. Of course. Anytime. Anytime. Bye. 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 Bye, everyone. Thank you guys for staying around. Alright. I think that's it. Alright. Or should I just gonna stay until I end it? Anyway. For those of you who are watching this lecture in video form, thank you so much for sticking around. I hope this review helped you out. And I hope you guys learned some things, and you guys are gonna crush that exam. Hope you all get 5s, guys. Just study, practice, 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 and you should secure that 5, hopefully. Good luck, everyone. Bye.